Okay, so if all is well, I am live. Hello, hello. Can you all hear me and see me? Because I'm getting, oh, I can already see. Okay, hold on. I'm getting some messages. So, hi, Claudine and Duod. Can't wait. Recently bought 4 pounds of Aquarius. Very excited about those paints. Getting the wider recognition. Yeah. Um, I ran into these paints a couple of weeks back on, I think it was Jane Blundell, on her Instagram, where she shared that she tested the entire range. Hi, Claudine. Good that you're here. Hello. In English, but that's no problem for you, I know. Um, but I saw these paints, and Jane Blundell seemed rather enthusiastic about them, and her color swatches were nice. So I figured that I wanted to test them as well. But as you know, I'm not a commercial paint tester. I'm not selling any paints. I don't have any interest. So um, I decided to put these on the list for me to test someday. And I contacted Roman Szmal, who is the manufacturer of these paints, and I said I was impressed and very curious about them. Hi, Remco. Oh, you're cooking. What are you cooking? Oh, that's nice. I know you're from Instagram mainly, I think. Oh, that's nice. But I contacted Roman Szmal, who is the manufacturer, I believe, of these paints, and I said I was going to test these, that these were straight to the top of my wish list for paints to test. And he then offered to send me paints to test. So that's what I'm doing here. So I don't have any commercial interest in the testing of these paints. This is just my own watercolor quirk going on, and my curiosity, because if I see a paint that seems so good on the blog of another watercolor artist, then I really want to try it and see what it's like. So Roman Schmal has been incredibly generous, as you can see, with his with sending me this paint. And I really can't wait. There are a couple of colors that I feel are quite unique, that seem different from other colors, like the Caput Mortuum is one I never used, but when I saw this in his collection, I wanted to use it. The Ocean Blue is one that I really, really liked, straight from the beginning. And there's Shadow Violet and a violet, what is it, sort of a jewel color. It's mineral violet. So it's just a really, really gorgeous set, and I'm looking forward to trying it. So what I'm going to do here is I was going to unwrap these anyway, and I figured I could unwrap these and, well, share it with you and do a little chat. And if I have time or energy, I want to do a quick first little watercolor, well, not a demo, but just for me to try out. So I'll just begin. And what I noticed about this brand was, this is, for me, it's a new brand. I don't know. I didn't research anything. What I tend to do when I find a new brand of watercolors is that I do not research it very much. Basically, I sort of, in this instance, I thought, okay, if Jane likes the paints, then they're probably good. So that's all the research I did, which was none. But I don't know too much about it. But for me, it's a new paint. It's Polish. And so it's a European brand. And what I noticed is there's enormous amount of care has been, how do you say, enormous amount of attention has been paid to wrapping this. This is watercolor paper wrapping, and there is a hand-painted swatch of the paint that's inside on the top, so you can actually see the paints that are in here. So I don't really need to swatch, but I do it because I have a different kind of paper, of course. Then there is the color, of course, with the brand, with the logo. There is the number, and here is the name of the color, and then here is the pigment numbers. So there is a lot of information, and I really tend to like paints that give out all this information for an artist to see at once. I don't know if you guys noticed, but on YouTube and on Instagram, I am seeing, you know, watercolors booming at the moment. And I might be sort of, well, to blame for at least a couple thousand people who are getting enthusiastic about watercolors by my channel. But so are many, many people, especially the hand lettering. It gave a new boost to the watercolor industry. But, you know, serious watercolor artists will like to know the pigment numbers, because pigments behave differently. And I love it when a brand takes itself so seriously that they give that information away straight away on the package and readable where I can find it. Because I don't know if you remember my Holbein review a couple of weeks back. I couldn't find the information. It was on there, but it was really illegible for me. And here all the information is there. So a demo. Oh yeah, Claudine. I will try if I can, if I have the energy and the time to do it. Oh really, Remco, you got to know it. Most interaction is on Instagram. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think my interaction is getting is changing from Facebook to Instagram, I think. And hi, Emma. Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm not really going to review right now, because this is like a first getting to know the paint, you know, unwrapping them, and we'll just see if I can answer some questions and give you a little look into the paint. And another little piece of attention that was given is this little foil that's wrapped around the paint. It also carries the logo. Can you see? I am looking. Can you see? Here is a logo here. So that's, it feels like, this feels classy. It feels quality. And then there is a little piece of paper. Oh, it's probably because there is a lot of honey in here. So that's a lot of paint that sticks to it. So I'm really glad the little piece of paper is on there. But I don't want to throw that away. So I am thinking what I can do to save it. Hold on. Getting some instrument to do so. I've got a clay scraper. I'm sort of like, I'm a real cheap Dutch girl. Don't throw anything away. Well, not paint. I wouldn't throw away paint unless I really have to, which is why I love working with watercolor. You don't have to throw anything away, you know, contrary to acrylics. Hold on. So, ooh, and I gotta be careful that I don't contaminate everything. There is a little step I think I am missing, because usually what I do is I put the number of the paint on the pan as well when it's not printed on there. So I would need another marker to do so. Oops, that's a big one. Let's see if I can find anything. I sort of forgot to do this. I'm sort of filming on the fly. I'm sort of semi-preparing things just the way I would if I did it just for me. Okay, so this is number 205. Ooh. Okay, so don't mind my handwriting here, okay? I just had to be a little careful because there is a little paint that's sticky. It is kind of a good solution, by the way, because there are more brands like M. Graham, who didn't do pans and wouldn't send any testers, and they wouldn't send dot charts, which I think is a missed opportunity these days. You need, if you're a watercolor manufacturer, I think you would do well if you made sure you had some sort of well, what do you call it? Some sort of a test version available. So I'm just going to stick these on there. So I hope it's not going to be too boring to watch, because this is just going to be me chatting. This is what I would do if this is what I do if I get new paints. I will try and make a clear record of them. So in this case, I will not. If you hear some noise, my daughter is doing the dishes in the kitchen. My cat was just passing through my studio, and outside somebody is working in the garden. Okay, so this is a PY154. That was really impressive about this brand too. It's very affordable, and yet there were quite a few single pigment paints in this collection, and that is remarkable. And it's beautiful and strong. Yeah, it is an angle, isn't it? That these paints are very, very affordable, and yet they are they feel very luxurious. These two colors are the only ones I've tried so far, but if I you know, what I saw on Jane Blundell's testing is that they are all very luxurious in how they handle. So they do match the paint to the package, to the paint quality. I like that. No, 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 Emma. Yeah, I used to be a hoarder as well, and I used to have this really, you know, if I saw any art supplies, I had to buy them. But one day I got to this point where I felt they were a burden to me. I don't know how to explain that any differently, but to say that every time I walked into my studio, I felt all inspiration and creativity just, you know, float away, because I was, I don't know, it sucked me dry. I had too much. So this is color number 308, which is nickel azo yellow. It's one of my favorite colors. Ooh. I already get to see a little glimpse of it. Okay, so this is what did I just say? 308. So sometimes I see these memes passing by on Instagram and Facebook saying you can never have too much art supplies. I don't agree. I experienced at one time I had too much. Although I have to say I could never have too much watercolor. So this is one of my favorite colors, and I already like what I see in the pan. Okay, 308. 308. Okay, and that is a PY150. Great minds think alike. Or were you not talking to me, Remco? Here I may be all chuffed because I feel like a great mind, and that you don't mean me at all. No, no, no. Well, I really. How do you guys feel about acrylic paint pouring? It's the recent hype it's not even really painting, I guess. It's doing something with paint. And then, how do you guys feel about pouring paint? Oh, I like this. There's good color, good. It's nice and vibrant. And that one dried up really beautifully. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I love discovering good new brands. Because recently I've been testing a lot of cheap brands that were, well, you know, okay for people who are starting, but paints that I would never use again. And so I give them to children that I know, or, you know, or to people I know who want to try watercolors. I don't keep everything because my storage units would overflow. This is a beautiful orange color. I don't know if my camera's a little bit dark, isn't it? Emma, you say, I get that. I can feel a bit like you. You don't know where to start with the paints. Yeah. It's like when I have too much stuff, like I used to have an attic that was really, it was so full with art supplies. There was storage everywhere that it was, my hobby had sort of turned into administering to the art supplies rather than in making new stuff. Hey, Jim. Hi. How are you? That's nice to see you in the chat. Paint pouring. You've done paint pouring, gave away all the paintings you made because you didn't find it challenging enough. No. I haven't tried it either, but you know, I have this thing, and I don't know if you guys recognize it, and maybe it's just my, I don't know, obsessed mind. One of the things I like about watercolor is you don't throw anything away. But with paint pouring, I mean, there is so much paint that you just throw away. I mean, how can, it's like, I don't want to do that to the environment. And maybe I'm a bit extreme in that, but it sort of feels like a brick to me even before I started. So I haven't tried. I do marble sometimes, by the way. But when you marble papers, then you pick up nearly all of the paint. I think you throw away a couple of percent, not too much. Hi, Jim. You're fine. You love the bouquets and remodel. Thank you. We had a big home renovation, and it was not voluntarily because we bought this house. I'm very bad at chronology. So 8 or 9 years ago, we bought this house, a really cool house, and we have this extension, a dining room extension. But the people who built this house, they forgot to put a pile underneath the foundation. So we were slowly sinking to New Zealand, which I'd love to see, but not by sinking with my dining room into the ground. So we had to I'm blabbing too much. We had to renovate, a big renovation. We had to break down walls and floors and, you know, make the construction new again. And when we did, you know, life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. So I decided that the dining room should become a library. And now we have a library. We only have a very normal house. I mean, not living in a castle with a library, but we managed to create a library, and I'm really, really happy with that. And the bookcase was made to fit in this house, so that's kind of it looks posh. Yeah, Remco, I can imagine the paint pouring. Yeah, it's fun. I think it's like, has any one of you ever marbled paper with oil colors in water bath? It's like you can do, it's the Turkish, what's it called again? Ebru. Ebru. It's you create this oil paint surface on water, and you put some agent in the water to make it a little thicker so that the oil will float on top of it. And then you can use combs and all kinds of sticks to create these kind of flower-like figures or wave-like figures. And then you put your paper into it, you just sort of dip it in and lift it back up. And it's really, really beautiful. It's like, it's what people used to do a lot, and what in Turkey, I think they're really good at it. And it's sort of like the same unexpected flowy like thing, but there's not a lot of paint that gets wasted in there. It's like the acrylic paint pour. Every time I see it, it's like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. It's like, oh my God, no, you can't throw away so much paint. Yeah. Yeah, Claudine, I tried to marble with acrylics, but it didn't work. It sank right through the water. So for me, that was not a big success. And I probably did something wrong. But I like marbling. I like marble papers. I use them to for my bookbinding, for the insides of my hand-bound journals. Oh, here is a sticky one again. So if you buy these paints, you do have to be alert to some sticky paints. But you know, that's not a problem. I've got a little scraper. I'm going to scrape and save some paints. So this is number 312. You've done a bit of marbling, Emma. You can get beautiful results, but I agree, it's hardly any waste. Yeah, true. If you're, you know, it takes a little bit of technique, and you know, I've only tried it a couple of times, so I'm not good at this. But marbling is kind of even though it seems messy with a bath and oil paints, there's still, it's quite a clean technique. I've already unwrapped 4. At this rate, we're going to be here until 4 o'clock tonight. These colors are super vibrant. I don't know if you can, they dry up really beautifully. They don't get much lighter like you see with cheap paints. I mean, they're doing exactly what I had hoped they would do. Shall I see if I can adjust my camera a little bit? Because it's getting rather dark, isn't it? Yeah, Jim, I saw a couple of your eco prints on your Facebook. I love them. They're beautiful. Yeah, I know it's really dark. The stupid thing is, my stupid thing, that I need to find out how I can adjust that. Because there is no button that says preferences or anything. So I'm going to try this. I hope you guys will still see me. Oh. No. This is kind of strange, isn't it? I should be able to see. Hi, Gina. Oh, you're on a break, so you're at work. Oh, that's really, here it's evening. It's 8:30 in the evening. So God, I really want to see if I can. I don't know where I can, if I can change that. But I want to try because it's getting super dark now. I hope he will not disappear, or I. 2 more hours till you can watch the full video. Oh my God. Well, you know, I have 48 colors and I've already unwrapped 4. So I'm going to be here until I may still be here when you get back from work. Oh God. Okay. So something happened. Is that's better because the colors are actually on my screen. The colors are rather okay. Okay. So, well, we're doing number 5, going full speed. Clothing you never throw away. You can't afford throwing paints away. No, no. I am a little bit, you know, do you hear that? There is a helicopter coming over. A heavy one. I don't throw away either. And, you know, I buy artist grade paints when I buy them myself, and I don't want to waste them. It's just such a shame. Oh, that's my dog. Can you hear him? Hold on, I need to reassure him. I think he got scared by the helicopter. Okay. Kom maar. Kom maar. Kom eens hier. 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 Zit. Oké. En nu af. Goed zo. Okay, it's my giant schnauzer. And I think he just got home. And then he heard a helicopter. And schnauzers want to understand everything. So when they hear something they can't see, it sort of makes them uneasy. Not really super scared or anything, but a little uneasy. So this is number 313. And this is permanent orange. And it's PO 59. Oh God, different pen. 313. Okay. This is a super, super big set. These are all full pens. Oh, there is a little bit of something is sticky there. That's a nice color. Native. My dog is called Tibba, and he's super cute. But he is sort of like, he's no longer, this is not fear anymore. It's like the whole family is not together. So he is squealing because he wants everyone to get together so he can keep an eye on us all. It's a little bit better. Okay, yeah. I could try and get it even a little bit more better. Hello, Serenity and Peace Art. Hi. Emma D, gorgeous colors. Yeah, they are super warm yellows. They're gorgeous, aren't they? Let's see if I can. Is this better? Yeah, it's better, isn't it? Okay, so it's the evening, you know, it's getting evening. The evening is falling. How do you say that? So it's getting dark. So for everyone who's new here, I'm unwrapping these Roman Szmal Aquarius watercolors that are a really great discovery. And they are really, really good. From, you know, I've only tried a few, but my dog has something to say about this too. If he's going to keep on doing this, I'm going to send him away. Because I don't want him to interfere. Uh-oh. Yeah, he's really, really, my dog is a sweetheart. He really is. He looks big and dangerous, and some people will cross the street when they run into us, but it's just nonsense because he's super cute. So this is PO36. And you know, I never used to care a lot about pigment numbers. I thought it was a little bit snobbish to be concerned with pigment numbers until I got interested in pigment numbers. And then you find out it's not snobbish at all. It's, you know, pigment numbers are very real. They are a very real thing. Oops. That came off quite well. But I think there is a lot of honey in this because some, you know, are a little bit sticky and a little bit, you know, like chocolate paste. 208. And this is benzimidazole orange, just so you know it. It's a beautiful warm orange that heads towards cinnabar, only it's not cinnabar is really opaque, and when it dries up it gets very dull sometimes. And this one seems much more lively, which is why I loved. Oh, it's gorgeous. Look at that. Oh, I think I'm about to recommend this paint already, and I've only done 6. So they've done a good job at Aquarius Paints. Gosh, I still have 42 to try. You know, some people don't get the thrill of this. You guys do, else you wouldn't be here. And that's kind of fun to know that, you know, there are at least 11 other goofballs, or now 10, who like paints as much as I do. My family really thinks I'm crazy. Oh, Chanelica. Oh, I bet that Tibby will give her a good tail wagging. He'll probably want to play with her. Do you mean this one? That's beautiful color, isn't it, Serenity? It's beautiful. It's like tangerine orange, but like the really dark tangerines. It's really juicy. Don't know if you guys can see it, but they're all juicy colors. Drop out of the live stream, Kelly. Oh yeah. Okay. Look. Okay. No. Exactly. The same here. You know, and my kids and my husband, they understand. You know, they know this about me, and they sort of accepted this quirk, and they see I don't do too much harm being crazy about pigments, so they can live with it. But it's people in the outer circle who are sometimes concerned about my my obsession with paints. You know, for some people, red paint is red paint. I mean, how can one red differ from another if they look almost the same? Well, yeah, they do. And then you got to show people. Some they granulate, some they form little river deltas on the paper, some they dry up really flat and chalky, and others dry up bright and vibrant. And, you know, and when I paint, I know exactly what colors I want to use. You know, it's like the more you paint, the more can you say purposeful? Yeah, I think I get more and more determined in using the paints that I have in specific colors. This is Perol Scarlet. It's a color I don't have yet in watercolor, so I was super excited to be able to choose this one, because Perol in my acrylics, I've got pearls by Golden, I think. They're super, super bright. So I love that. And this is a PR, so pigment, PR, red, 255. And there is, you can look up pigment numbers, and I'm so bad at memorizing things by heart, but I can look up a reference. Oh, this one sticks again. Look. So this is something to keep in mind when you order this paint, that you need to be a little bit patient, and you need to think of a way to save what's on there, if you want. Well, I do. So here I come with my super advanced tool, and I try to save as much of the paint as I can. Some people could think this is a problem. I don't necessarily think it's a problem. It's a characteristic of this paint. And oops, if I see how good the paint is, it's something I'm willing to accept. I don't mind this as much as bad paint. I don't mind it at all, in fact. But that's because I sort of like to fuss around with my paints. And I've got some, a cloth at hand and some water to clean up. You have to go. Bye-bye, Emma. You can always look back. It is very concentrated. It is. It's very. There is a lot of coloring power in this paint. So you just have to tap the paint very lightly and then look at the intensity that is there. This is really nice, and the way it dries up is very promising. It's super, super intense. So, and this is, at the moment, it's very affordable. Only it's not for sale. I think I should have to ask if it's for sale in an English-speaking country, which would definitely improve the sales opportunities for this brand. Okay, so let's see. Remco, it's making conscious choice in paints that the outer circle doesn't even know. Yeah, exactly. The outer circle doesn't know about paints and big and this kind of, well, the difference is. Okay, so hard, intense to learn. Yeah, Jim, that's absolutely true. With watercolors, there's been, a recent hype with the hand lettering, and you get all these teeny weeny paint manufacturers who jump into the business, and they come up with all these watercolor brands and these cute little names. But the thing is that what watercolor paint boils down to in the end is the pigment numbers, and it doesn't matter what kind of name you give your paints, as long as your paint with certain pigment numbers behaves in a certain way. That's, when watercolor artists will learn about the characteristics of pigments and also the characteristics of certain, well, like agents in paints. Like Golden uses different media in their watercolor paints than other brands, for instance. So the paint will respond a little bit differently. And it's something that's why I think watercolor is so interesting. It's like every human being has got a different character. And I mean, we all have a nose, we have eyes, we have ears, and basically we're the same. But then there is, when you look a little bit closer, when you start working with a person or you start interacting with a person, you see there are unique qualities. And that's the same thing with watercolor. And it might seem a little bit exaggerated, but that's when you come into the artist range of paints. That's exactly how unique they are. And that's fascinating because, it's not just paints. It is what I have experienced with the Eastern brands like Shinhan, the whole bean, no, the whole beans, the Magellos. To me, were all a little bit alike. They lacked the depth in character differences, and that's what I like so much about the European classic brands. And Daniel Smith is doing a really, really good job of reproducing that in their own style. Golden is doing a good job. The M. Graham, I don't know because they're still way too expensive for me to get into. But it's just so endlessly fascinating. Yeah, watercolor is about delicate. It's about, well, I'm not delicate about my paints. Some people who feel they know a lot about art, they comment on my work by saying you are not doing it the right way, which is just, a load of crap because you can't do art the wrong way. This is, I don't paint very delicately at all. Well, sometimes I do some techniques, but usually, like in my illustrations, I use my paint. Well, not like gouache, but I don't use it in a watercolor kind of way or something. But still, even when you do not use it delicately, there is a lot to learn about watercolor paints because they're not very forgiving. You want to know where this was manufactured, Remco? In Poland. And if I am correct, they cost each about €3 for a full pan. So that's about the price, or even a little bit cheaper than the White Knights. That's what I want to do. I want to compare them to the White Knights because they seem a little bit alike. To PR264. This is the Pirol Rubin. But they seem quite vibrant. So White Knights, by the way, is a very good paint if you are on a budget and you still want to work with artist grade paints. I recommend White Knights to everybody because it's much, much better than the price would make you suspect. Some colors are not fully reliable, but they're good enough. And it's what I was hoping from this brand, to be affordable, but to still be artist grade paints with, well, like I said, the fascinating characteristics of pigments. So I'm really saving all the paint. I mean, probably coming across really neurotic and fidgety right now, but it's my quirk. So this is 328. Already done 10. That's what you get when you're a little talkative, or a lot. Claudine, I once had my own watercolor paints. Oh, did you? Gum Arabic? Yeah, making watercolor paints takes a lot of grinding, is what I heard. I have all the necessities to make my own watercolor. I had fantasies about setting up my own brand one day because I like pigments so much. But I am lazy. And in the end, I figured that what I like most is painting and drawing, my art journals. And then I figured that if I was going to manufacture my own paint, I was not going to be painting a lot anymore. So I let go of the idea. But there is something super seductive about creating your own paints. I with glittery mica stuff, made it from eyeshadow. That really works very well. If you have good eyeshadow with a lot of mica in it, you can actually turn that into watercolor. You love, okay, Remco, if you love the White Knights, you are going to love these. I think these are better than the White Knights, but I have to check because I'm very enthusiastic about these now because I'm trying these, but I think they're vibrant, very, very vibrant. I think this set, I calculated, I had this set of 48 colors. And if I'm correct, it was about 130 euros for 48 full pans. And I can already tell by the colors I've tried so far, these are all true pigments. This is not cheap crap. You know, this is nice, very nice paint. So yeah, if you like the white nights, I can certainly recommend these. These are really nice. You just have to bite through the sticky paint sometimes, but like I said, I don't mind. I kind of think this is a romantic thing to do, to sit with your paints and give them all a little TLC and attention. To me, this is sort of like the idea of spending a nice evening. Oh, and I'm laughing because I know that some people will think I'm crazy. 322. So this is this is permanent red. So this is PR170. I chose pretty heavy reds. Oh, this one is sticky as well. Maybe that's because I don't know what the weather is like where you guys are. Whoops, me too. But over here we've had big thunderstorms, and I think there is a lot of humidity in the air at the moment. It could have something to do with it. No problem. Just tapping it back into the pan. You know, for me, this is not a problem because what I usually do if a brand sells tubes is that I will buy tubes and I will fill my own pan. So I'm always messy. The only thing is that I forgot to put on old clothes. So if you hear me curse in a minute, you then you know what will have happened. I will probably have got some paint smudged somewhere. I always have paint everywhere. I am so bad that when I buy new clothes, I always tell myself I will not sit in my studio with them. At the end of the day, before they are 1 day old, there will be a huge stain on them. That's yeah. Okay, so this is a super strong color. This is like a carmine red. Wow, look at that. That's sexy lipstick for you. Ooh, super yummy. I can't wait to paint something with this one. And I'll go there. I will when I finish this video, I will put a link in, or a couple of links in, because there are a couple of shops you can buy this. A Spanish shop and 2 Polish ones. So, you know, if you use Google Translate, you'll probably find out how to do it. Duo-D or Duad, you say there's at least one Polish shop that have an English language option that carry those. Can you enter the link for me? Because I couldn't find that one, or else I would have already posted it. Oh yeah, Claudine, I can totally imagine that it's kind of relaxing to grind your own paints. I like this. This is like, you know, it's like a little silly chore, but I love doing it. A favorite brand of watercolor, Jim? Well, yeah, I have this standard set. I will get it for you. So this is my the set that I use well every day basically, and this is mostly Schminky Horror, and it's my basic set with the colors that I use most, and I think these are also the pigments that I use most. So I do have to say that Schminky Horror sort of is my favorite brand. Not these, by the way. But having said that, I have to say that that doesn't really count anymore. Not for a full 100% because I really, really like the Daniel Smith. Is super, super good paint. And but they're only in tubes and in sticks. So I don't have these in sets with pans. And the Senneliers, the ones that you gave me, they are super wonderful and bright and vibrant, especially for glazing when you layer colors on top of each other, which I do a lot. Then the Senneliers are, you know, those are the ones that I always grab when I make paintings for which I want to do a lot of layering. Yeah, Claudine, I really seriously, I am not kidding. I do not own one piece of clothing that does not have paint stains on them. And that's really, really horrible. Are you thinking of buying a brand, Jim? Are you thinking of investing in a brand of watercolors? That's sometimes people ask me what should I buy? And that's a really, really difficult question to answer because you know, in the first place, it's about budget. How much can you afford? Then the second question, and that's something for me to try and see sometimes, is does somebody really need artist grade paints? I'm not saying that to you, Jim, but just, you know, in general, when people approach me that I don't know, watercolors have become so popular due to hand lettering. And now I'm going to say something that I don't mean nasty, but people sometimes could think it's nasty, is that you don't need artist grade paints for hand lettering. You need artist grade paints when you mix, when you layer, when you want to work with granulation, when you want to create textures and natural textures in your work, when you want to have beautiful gradients. That's when you have to really be able to rely on artist grade pigments. Otherwise, if you're just doing, like, you know, hand lettering, let's say the most intricate thing you can do with hand lettering is to write a word in rainbow colors that sort of flow into each other. You really don't need artist grade paint for that. So when people ask me, Mandy, what paint should I use? It's like, oh God, it's impossible for me to say. And then, you know, there are people watching my channel from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, that do not have as much money to spend as people do in the West, where I come from. Sorry, I'm getting this itch in my in my throat. And then they will ask me, Mandy, do I need artist grade paints? Do I need to buy Schminky Horror? That really breaks my heart because, you know, many people can't afford a student quality. And then they run into my videos saying that, you know, they should buy an artist grade paint. That really, really breaks my heart because there are people who have to save up for that for a long, long time. I mean, I'm not a rich girl. You know, we have a one-person income here. My husband works. He's got an income. We get by. But you know, we had a, you know, we live kind of a simple life compared to most people our age. We sort of have peace with the fact that we don't need much. You know, a lot of the adventures that I have are in my head. I don't need to travel the world because I've got a big imagination that's constantly bouncing inside my head. And I am really perfectly okay with living here, being here, going out into nature here. So, but what I want to say is that even though we have a simple life financially in that respect, still, if I am determined to get a certain kind of paint, or if I want to use artist grade paints, I do not have to save for a long time. I mean, you know, if I want to buy 10 more horror dams, say next week, I could. You know, I don't have, um, but there are people watching my videos who would have to save up for a year to buy a little set of 12 horror dam colors, or even longer. There are people who will never ever have that. That it's something that I've started to realize, I think 1.5, 2 years ago, and that's the reason why I started doing cheap reviews of cheaper brands as well. Because um, there's two things. On the one hand, you know, you absolutely need good art supplies to create art. You can't make you A good artist can make art with anything, true. But if you're not a good artist yet, if you're only starting out, having good supplies helps. But recently there is this hype where you need to get everything good. I mean, there's people painting on arches watercolor paper who've never touched watercolor before. It's like it's like there is this new culture coming to life that says you need the best of everything all the time. In the first place, it's not true. In the second place, it breaks my heart to see it happening because there are a lot of people out there who would never be able to afford that. And not just in third world countries or in poorer countries, but also people, you know, like I had a call from a single mom a couple of months ago. And she said, I really hate myself for asking this, but do you perhaps have a little bit of paint for me? Because I have absolutely no money. We're divorced. She was cheated on by her husband financially. At the time, I didn't have a set for her. Later on, I did have a set, and I gave it. Although you cannot send me a request because I don't have a whole stack lying about. But in this instance, I could help her out. Um, but you know, it's something that in the enthusiasm about the paints, sometimes you forget. I forget, and people who watch me, people who are also obsessed with paints, and they forget. It's like, you know. Yeah, it's something I just think about sometimes. So coming back to this brand of paint and to the other brands that I have, you know, there are the Horadam, the Winsor and Newton Artist, the Daniel Smith, the Anne Graham, the Senneliers, Creamer, Rembrandt. Am I forgetting a big one? They're all, you know, top of the range financial, you know, money wise. They're also top of the range, you know, quality wise. But then there is a lot, you know, just right below that. That's also good, and that I feel, you know, I want to be able to promote as well. Although I'm not promoting everything, by the way. um, there is some things that I will not promote. Yeah, Jim, I think you're gonna like these too. Zell Art. Is Zell okay? That's the okay. So okay, I will check out that website and place a link below this video. Okay, hold on. I'm doing a couple of things at the same time. PR112. Oh, look at that. It's really, really intense. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, Jim, if you want to wait for these are just, you know, I love them already. They are super intense. So when you work with colors like these, Watercolor does have quite a steep learning curve, although when you just, you don't set out to make art with a capital A straight away, but just go at it, you will learn so quickly. It's going to be nice, and it's not the first thing you do. You have worked with watercolors, haven't you? Okay, the next one is a magenta. I think it is. Could it be Szmal art with an M in between? Because that's the name is Robert Szmal, SZMAL. I think that's what the shop is probably called. But I didn't know that it was also a that he had an English version. Oh, that one comes up nicely. The magenta, whoa, that looks really super pink. I'm gonna have to adjust my the lighting of the camera again because it's actually turning to dusk here. Okay. Three, 2, and that's PR1, 2. PR1, 2, 2. It's gorgeous colors. I'll need to change the water because it's very high in pigments. Okay. Let's see. Oh, S. Okay, SZAL. Okay. The Kramer watercolors, they are good, Jim. I have a couple too. I really, really like Kramer's. They are super expensive to buy, by the way, even though they're produced in Germany and I live in the Netherlands. It's still quite expensive to get by them. So that's, I have a pretty long list already with brands that I want to try someday when I run into them. But I have quite a bit of paint already, and okay. Do you have any work online, Jim? You said a long time ago, you said you might put some work online. I've seen a little bit of your work, if I'm correct, from the organic printing process. Do you have some watercolor work online? You have to go, Claudine. You have to make homework for writing class. Oh, you got a writing class. It's nice. Have a good evening, Claudine. See you again soon. Bye-bye. God. Hi. I don't think I can show you who's here. Hi. Can you see his nose? Here's his nose. Hi. Kom hier knuffelen. Ja. I'll need to open the door for him. Hold on. So I just let out my dog because he was bored with sitting here. He figured, oh God, she's only got 12 colors on her paper, so I'm off. This is PV49 Cobalt Violet Light. I chose this one because it's granulating. I'm going to change my water first or else it'll be too pinkish. Got a little kitchen right by my worktop. And I'm gonna see if I can bring some light into my studio, which I can. Okay, so they're changing just a little bit. I'll see if I have to adjust it. I think it's quite okay. Maybe a little more. Okay, are you happy? Does this work for you? Kama, hi from Austria. Yes, I actually Core have sent me quite a bit of paint to test and demo, and I have composed a little set of them that I will. That will be the next video I do. It will be the Core because I loved. I actually love them. I've read some critiques about those paints, but I like working with them. Oh, this one sticks again. So this is a little side effect we get from this paint. This one sticks very hard. But it actually sticks so hard that most of it is coming off again. Now, I like Core. There are people out there who do not like it, but I do like it. And what I also like about Core is that they have good customer service. I've had a really good experience in communicating with them. That was personal and very, how shall I say that? There are brands that wouldn't even reply when you contact them, and there are brands that are just, you know, they treat you like a human being. So, and that's what Core did. So I like it very, very much. So this is, oh God, 403. So it's a PP49. Okay. And this is always a super light color. So I'm really, really curious about that. Oh, look. That's nice. And it is a light color, but usually when this color is always very weak when I test it from every other brand. But here at least it comes off rather strong. It's a light color, but there's still a lot of pigment, if you get what I mean. Oh, Jim, you never, yeah. Oh, you've got a super lovely grandson, Jim. I saw the photos. That's got to be so wonderful to be a grandfather of such a lovely child now. If that's the best work of art, isn't it? Your kids and your grandkids. That's that deserves a lot of your time. Absolutely. And you know what it is, Jim, with the websites. I think I wrote a newsletter about it that I haven't sent out yet, but you know, the internet has changed a lot in the recent half year, and I have to say that you know, visitor numbers on websites are dropping dramatically. Social media views on Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube are dropping dramatically. You know, all these algorithms, and everyone wants a share of potential money that you would be willing to invest in whatever. And everybody is using social media these days, so there is only few people stopping by websites anymore. So I really do wonder if it is worth it to if you don't have a website yet, to set up one, or if it would be a good idea to just, you could have a Flickr account, which I find has been a very consistent provider. Social media is possible, although you never know, they could be gone. They could, social media disappear every now and then. So this is ultramarine violet, PV15. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? We're here with 17 people now. Do you guys think it's still worth it to have your own website, or even to be active on social media anymore? Because my views on social media of my work have dropped dramatically, and Facebook and Instagram are constantly reminding me that they can promote a post for me. And when they started doing that back in the days, it would be like €2 for $2 for a post promotion, and now they're up at 27, 29, and I'm not promoting. It's like, I'm an artist. I don't even make money for what I do. I do this for free. The only thing I make from this is a box of paints, so I'm not investing in ads. And then Facebook and Instagram say, well, Mandy, if you don't want to invest in ads, we're not going to show your work. And fewer and fewer people see my work. And even my very good friends no longer get to see my posts, which is something I found out when I took part in Art for Earth, which was a collaboration to raise funds for Tree Sisters. And, I did what needed to be done marketing-wise, and that would previously have worked, and it didn't work anymore. So that's when the algorithms have changed again. And that's when I found out that, I was sort of like wondering whether it was still feasible at all to grow organically on the internet. And I have my doubts about that. So basically, I'm just doing my thing. And Jim, I don't think it's very bad not to have a website. I think when you present your artwork, you don't necessarily have to present yourself as an artist. You could simply share what you've done. I mean, going out there as an artist is a big step, because, who says you're an artist, or who says I am an artist? It's like in America, it's very normal to call whatever kind of creative work you do art. Every creative outpour is art. Here in the Netherlands, the translation is kunst for art. And the thing is that when you make a drawing or a painting, and you go out and you tell people you have made art, ik heb kunst gemaakt, then people will think you're conceited and arrogant, because you don't really get to say that you are an artist. You don't say that about yourself. I say it about myself. People don't get that because, I have an English-speaking audience. So for me, it's normal to say I am an artist. But if you come here to the Netherlands, you will find that I am, to the Dutch standards, not really an appreciated artist yet, or at all. Or, it's like Van Gogh can say he was an artist. Rembrandt is an artist. But that is in the Dutch language, that's the level you have to live up to. You have to strive towards. And so what I mean to say is that it's kind of a big step to go out and present yourself like an artist, and to present your work as art. Whereas you could also say, well, I'm just sharing a painting. I'm sharing something I've done or something I'm into. So that makes the step of going outside to show your work a lot easier, I think. Maybe that's why I share my art journals, because I I don't know if I see myself as an artist. Yeah, I have a creative mind, and I have these itches that I need to soothe. Oh, this is a gorgeous. This is dioxazine purple. It's not called that. Yeah, it's called dioxazine violet. Beautiful. I only have this color, this pigment. I only have that in acrylics, and now I have it in watercolor. Gorgeous. That's a really, really beautiful purple. But you know, sharing your work does not have to be a think about, being an artist. Although there is a lot of pressure these days on, you have to be good. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jim. Yeah, Remco. I think I consider. I don't know. Well, I did commissions, and I was in art fair, so I could maybe call myself an artist, but then I don't know. There is this. Wouldn't you agree that here in the Netherlands there is this art world that sort of determines whether or not you are an artist? No, no, Jim. Well, Jim, you do have to feel a little bit comfortable about showing your work, of course. Um, if you feel you're giving too much away of yourself, if it's too private for you, then I wouldn't do it because I don't know how it works for you, but you do show more about yourself in art. Um, and maybe you don't want people to see it. Maybe you feel vulnerable in showing that part of yourself. You could do it under an alias. I know I've got a couple of people on Instagram who I am sure are using an alias. I've even asked them straight out, and they said no, but they gave themselves away. Maybe you're looking now that you know who I'm talking to. Um, that's also an option. If you want to share, but you're feeling shy about it, if that's it, you could do an alias. But if you don't feel comfortable, you don't, Jim, you also don't have to do that. I mean, I'm curious about the things you do, of course, but you don't have to do it on my account. It's your party, you know. We also live in this really strange era where we all have to show everything we do. I mean, I am even so, I am super crazy. I am sticking some little pieces of paper onto a big piece of paper with all kinds of colors, being enthusiastic about it, and I share it with the world because I don't know, maybe I want to be applauded, maybe I want to have the attention or the interaction or just the feeling of not being alone. I don't know what it is, but when you really come to think of it, Kate Bush has this song and it says, "As the people here grow colder, I turn to my computer and spend my evening with them like a friend. I was loading a new program I had ordered from a magazine, and it says, 'Are you lonely? Are you lost?'" And that's sort of like it's something to think about. So this is a color I am absolutely sure that some of you will start raving about. This is the mineral violet, and I know this color from violet. It has a granulating blue and a violet color, which results in a splitting of the color on paper. Oh, that's really thick. And I'm giving it a little more water to let it misbehave because that's what is actually happening. Look, and there the color shift is happening. So you can see that the pink and the blue pigments are splitting up, so you get these shades in there. So that's super awesome for textures, and that's something I know people who follow me love my work for the textures that I use. That's a lot. due to the pigments I work with. So that is a really gorgeous one. So beautiful, very, very well done. And now the shadow violet. And people who know the Daniel Smith, they all know the shadow violet. I don't know one single person who has Daniel Smith paints who does not own shadow violet, because everyone loves it so much. Evie Dragon, hi Evie Dragon. Welcome to my very long-winded or long-winded. Is it long-winded or long-winded? I'm never ever going to finish this tonight, but hell, it's kind of cozy. I really like having you all here. Remco, you're not really into the art world. You just love to do what you're doing. You pursue getting better. Yeah. Oh, me too, Remco. I am such a big Kate Bush fan. I know pretty much of her work by heart. And that's one of the songs that just yeah, the art world is a difficult world to when I talk about that, I say things that are not diplomatic. And I'm not a very diplomatic person by nature. What you see is pretty much what you get. And sometimes I wonder if I should say certain things out loud on the internet, because once said, it will never be erased again. But what I find very hard about the art world is that very often it's about who you know, and it's not about the art you made. I was in an art contest once, and it put me off so much that I never entered another one. It was after a song, and I did not win. I didn't even get mentioned with honors. And then at the end of the, the awards had been handed out, and we all got this sort of like a soothing award for taking part. And we all could go and see each other's work so that we knew which work had won. And then I entered the hall where my work was, and there was this big group of people standing in front of my work, and I overheard them say, "I actually like this one best. She illustrated the song better than any other work, and her work is strong and it's technically good. It was a mixed media piece." And everyone in that group agreed, and they were members of the jury. And I had not won. And then a couple of days later, a friend of mine, she worked at an art gallery, she told me that the one who had won was the daughter of not the mayor, but somebody else in the local politics. And that pissed me off so hard. It was like, I really felt at the time that I should have won something, but it was only a matter of kissing ass and having these connections. And that really, really disappointed me, because I had worked on that painting for 3 weeks, and it was good. And when I had not won, at first I was at peace with that, because you can't always be the best, of course. And at the time I was only painting for a couple of years, so I didn't expect to win. But when I could see all the work that was handed in, and I overheard those jury members speaking about the art, that really broke my heart. That was my first experience with the art world. Then I took part in art fairs, and they had these committees that would allow people in or not. And they were like, "Did you do art school?" No, I did not do art school. And some would not even look at my work. They would just send me away because I hadn't been in art school. And they were not even the most prestigious fairs that did that. And then at the next slightly more prestigious fair, they would let me in with no hesitation. So that was so confusing. That's when I learned that it was not about the art you make, or sometimes it's not about the art, not always, of course. This is a very black and white account of what happens in that world. But it happens in the photography business. It happens in the literature and poetry business. There is this famous writer in the Netherlands, and he was in the neighborhood a couple of years ago, and I decided to go meet him. And then I asked him what was the most important thing about becoming a writer, and he said the most important thing is not your writing, it's where you live. I was like, well, what do you mean? How can that be the most important thing about that? He said, well, you're never going to get famous here. You're never going to break through when you live here as a writer, because you got to go to places where writers go. You got to go to places, to cafes, to parties where publishers go and editors. And that felt so limited to me. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, well, and you are you too, and I love you for that too. So you just be you, whether you show your work or not. That's okay. But you know, very often those worlds are not about, you know, giving people a fair chance. And well, it's not just the art world; it's everywhere. But in the art world, sometimes it feels personal when you're being excluded for not knowing the right people. So this is 219. This is a light blue. This is Prussian blue. No, it's not light blue. This is a dark blue. A little bit sticky, but not gooey. And I'm writing the names underneath the pans because when I run out, I can order them again. And just look at those colors. Beautiful here, the shading with the pink area and the blue area. And here, the 336, the, what was it called? I want to make a new, no. No, I think I threw it away. But it's a beautiful color, beautiful gradations of color. Yeah, this is lovely, and it's like it's very affordable, and but this paint really seems to have all the qualities of artist grade paints. It's not letting me down at all. So this is the Prussian blue. And the Prussian blue is PB27. Sometimes I look at those pigments and I wonder how they do it, that with 1 or 2 pigment numbers, they can create so many different colors. Look how strong. Oh, that's a beaut. This looks like an indent throne I have by another brand. It also looks like a stale blue, a very dark stale blue. Gorgeous color. It doesn't look much like the Prussian blues that I know. Okay, so moving on to, oh, this is Indent Throne Blue, PB60. I work a lot with dark blue, especially in my illustration work. I love night skies. I love the confinement of darkness in my paintings. And that's when I like to use really dark colors. I also noticed that I have a lot of, I ask for a lot of earth tones. And then it surprised me how many earth tones I use. What is your favorite colors? What colors do you like to use in watercolor? What colors will always be in your sets? Inland Throne Blue. Okay, so here we go. Oh, this one is gooey. Okay. This is a little something you really have to keep in mind. Yeah, but Inland Throne Blue, it was one of the sticky ones too. Oh, really? Yeah, it's definitely sticky. I think it's going to make a lovely night sky. But it really is sticky, yeah. Oh, it's a gorgeous color. Wow. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot to write down the number underneath. 337. Lisa Janine, opera. Oh yeah, opera. Yeah, opera pink is a wonderful color. It's like a neon pink, and it's absolutely worth having in your palette. Only it's a color that artists can't use. That's not a snobbish thing to say, but the thing is, if you create art for reproduction, the opera pink will never ever have itself be reproduced, or you can't scan it, you can't photograph it, you can't print it. So it's a color I have too, of every brand I have. I don't have it here. I don't know if this brand has it, but it's a brand you can't reproduce. So it's a color you like. It's really good for your art journals and cards you make, and it livens up everything, doesn't it? You can also create beautiful oranges with it, by the way. If you take the nickel azo yellow, and opera pink, they go together really well. Transparent red oxide and dioxazine violet. This is the dioxazine violet. That's really, really gorgeous by this brand. If you want, this is one I can recommend to you. It's beautiful. And the transparent red oxide, yeah, that's really great too. I think one of these is transparent red oxide. Let me see. No, this quinacridone maroon. No. Let's see. I thought I had a transparent red oxide. No, transparent brown oxide. Didn't order the red oxide. In crowd snobbery and superciliousness. Yeah, that's a beautiful word, superciliousness. Worked at the MFA Houston for several years and saw a lot of it. The MFA, Museum for Arts, is used in Texas several years. Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of snobbery in that. It's on all levels, you know. When you have, even in amateur artists, there is a lot of snobbery in certain crowds. You know, there is a lot of you have to know the right people, you know, to be accepted even into and I'm sort of like, I don't know if that's a character deficiency or that it's a strong thing, but it's like when I see that happening, I'm out of there. I'm pretty much a loner in that respect. I think that's why I like the internet so much, because then you know, you meet people anyway. So this is the French Ultramarine PB29. So do you see how many of these paints have one pigment only? That's really good. For those who do not use artist grade paints yet, if you have these single pigment paints, that really helps when you mix in being able to predict what the paint will do, how it will behave, and also that it won't go muddy. Oh, that's only a little bit. So the 221. Gonna pick up a little bit more paint. That's nice granulating pigment. Shows good granulation as well. Good. Oh, I really love these paints. This one dries up a little darker. This one dries up about the same. This one dries up darker. So it starts when it's wet. This Prussian blue looks a bit like a dark sail blue, but then it dries up darker. I like it. That one is also the Shadow Violet. It's very, very beautiful as well. Even though it's 3 pigments, it's gorgeous. Let me see. Opera Pink, Fugitive. It looks so pretty mixed with ultramarine. Oh, does it? I gotta try. I don't know. I think maybe I have tried. Just don't remember. But it's probably going to be a very, very bright purple, isn't it? Ceria's Chinese Orange. That's the cinnabar. It's like a cinnabar color, isn't it? What do you paint with cinnabar? What do you paint with the Chinese orange? What kind of, yeah, what do you paint with that? I always think cinnabar is a really difficult color. I don't remember by heart if the Chinese orange is also a little bit opaque. Quinacridone Burnt Orange by Daniel Smith. Oh yes, absolutely. Daniel Smith is doing a really great job with the quinacridones that are very vibrant and warm. I think that they changed the watercolor market for quinacridones. They got everyone fired up for those colors, I believe, because they produced a vibrancy that was, until that moment, you know, nobody had done it before. Maybe not as many nuances, or maybe they just marketed it really well. But, you know, they are very beautiful. I absolutely agree with you. And the quinacridone Burnt Orange is beautiful color. I use it a lot as well. PB35. So this is a cobalt cerulean blue. Cerulean. Let's just say cerulean, cobalt cerulean. Oh, that's a really sticky one. Oh God. Okay. So I need to use my spatula. Okay. Scrape it off. Hoopla. No problem. I do keep changing little pieces of notepaper to keep my clothes clean, hopefully. So this is 406. Normally I do this a lot faster, but I've been talking so much right now. Warm up pinker burnt siennas, Chinese orange, landscapes, different infrared earth. Yeah, landscapes. Where do you come from, Jill? Because you're using like rusty earth tones in your landscapes. Are you from the United States? That's something that, you know, that really, somebody pointed that out to me a couple of, I don't know, some time ago on my videos. I was talking about the color of the sky and landscapes, and he said that's European light you're talking about. The light here is much different. What I think about the Dutch art world? I think it's basically the same all over the world. That it's a lot about who you know. Well, I saw a movie about an artist and a poet once, and um, what the movie pointed out was that they both became famous only because they had patrons that were really rich, and another artist only became famous because his parents were by of nobility. So I think it's always been that way, and I know for a fact that there are a lot of good artists out there who do not get a chance or do not strive to get a chance, um, because they don't want to put themselves out there into that world. Um, I actually know one personally who refuses to put his work out there, and he's super good, but he just does not want to be part of that world. He says he's got an impressively an impressive lack of ability to kiss ass, and he says he knows that because of that, and he's super good. He's 1,000 times better than I am. It's something you have to know. You have to know a way to do that. Well, not necessarily to kiss ass, but to present yourself in the right um, social circles. And it's all very subjective. Like I said, there were art fairs I was denied, immediately when people heard that I hadn't done art school at the time. I even went to art school for a year because I thought I needed to do that in order to ever be able to be concerned and considered an artist. Um, but then there were also art fairs that let me in straight away on the basis of my work. And um, one person will say, "You stink," your work stinks, and another will love it. Um, I've had an experience in art school. I don't know if you guys want to hear it. You're an art student in Groningen. Oh, I can tell you. I was just about to tell you something. I don't know the art world in the Netherlands with capital letters, because I went to art school in Belgium because for me it was second chance education. And as a grown up, it's very hard to go to art school. It's unaffordable. I live far away, so it's very difficult to do it even by train. So I went to Belgium instead, and there was this instance we had to do a big assignment, and the theme was towers. And I was doing monumental design at the time. So I had thought this theme through, and I remembered a book I once read as a child about a tower that dominated an area, and I had turned that into a ceramics project. And then there was the day where we got the final results of our work. And well, there were these two teachers approached me, and they looked at me with a very stern look, and they said, "This is not art, this is illustration." And I was super proud because I think I am at heart an illustrator and not per se an artist in capital A's. And but they I didn't flunk, but they did not give me a very good mark. And but then there was this student in my class, and he had not done one thing on this entire assignment. And he knew he had to save his ass. So that day, when he drove to school, he stopped by this. It was a place where they were tearing down a house, and he found window frames with windows. So he went over there and he asked those guys, "Can I have these?" And he could have them for free. So he brought in 8 window frames. And what he did is he attached 4 of them as a basis and another 4 on top. And one of the windows on the top could open. And all he had done was attach those, and that was it. So we had a lunch break, and I said to him, "So, what did you create and why? And what did you mean to say?" And he laughed so hard that he almost choked in his bread. He said, I didn't mean to say anything. It doesn't mean shit. I just needed to save my ass because I hadn't done my homework. So we had a good laugh about that. But then the teachers went from my table over to the next and the next, and they commented on everybody's work. And then they came to the big tower of glass window frames, and they said they were in awe. It was like, oh my God, what a vision. This is visionary work. And the symbolic power in this, it's overwhelming. You were the only one who understood what we meant to what we asked from you. And, you know, it was like everyone in my class was like mouth open, like, what? What's happening here? Even the guy himself was like, I didn't mean shit with this. But they read so much into that. And it was, part of me understands you can create something without an effort, that art doesn't always have to be, that you can overthink art. And yeah, especially at this school, people, you know, art was something that sort of happened as a process and was never an illustration. So I can even sort of understand that point of view. But this was so, how can I say that? This was rubbing against everyone's fur. You know, it was like, I think about 60-70% of us was a little bit angry because everyone had put so much effort into their assignments. They had really tried to create a monument with meaning and story and everything. And then there was this guy who didn't even read the assignment. All he had remembered was it was towers. He put some window frames together and that was it. You know, and he was the bomb that day. And that was like, it just sort of, what happened was that many students stopped taking the teachers seriously anymore. It was like, so I don't know if that represents the Dutch art world or the Belgian art world. But it does illustrate, I think, what the art world can be like. I have a friend who takes very, very beautiful photographs, and she's been in art exhibitions with her work. And but verbally, she's not very good. And there have been contests that she was in, and her work was totally denied because when they came to her work and they asked about it, you know, she didn't really know what to say. She was like, well, this is my work, and you should just, you know, draw your own conclusions from looking at my work. But it doesn't work that way in art, in the art world. So what do I think of the art world? Well, if you're in art school, I think you better learn to smooth talk your way through a lot of shit, and to create a narrative around things you do. And yet the narrative must not be so narrative that it looks like you're doing an illustration, because many people in the art world are allergic to illustration. Yeah, what else can I say about it? If you're serious about becoming a full-time artist, you have to, I think, invest in who you know. And also you have to just maybe you have to just get into the right places. But that's also very strange. It's something I never knew before I got to be an artist. Or I don't, well, if you want to call me an artist, if you call me that. But what I realized, there are these beautiful art books, these annual books. And what I thought they were collections of the latest new artists of our country, until I found out you can actually just buy a place in those books. And let's say I also found out that the juries of those books, the editors of those books, are not always very critical of the people they allow in those catalogs. I've seen people get in there that should not have been in there at all. But they got in because they were willing to pay a big sum of money. Same goes for big art fairs. In recent years, there are art fairs, and as soon as you register the Kamer van Koophandel as an artist, you get these invitations, or as soon as you did an art fair, you get an invitation by other art fairs. And there are art fairs that actually cost a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking 600 or more euros for 2 days for, to present your work. And that's a lot of money, 600 euros for a weekend. But, if you want to be taken seriously, and if you want to address the right kind of buyer, then maybe I should have done it, or maybe I should still do it. But I find that a very big hurdle to take. It's a lot of money for an artist. And also, what I noticed is that when so much money is involved, that kind of art fair does not always have a very strict admission policy. I see people go there that, are creative, but are definitely not unique in what they do, or very, I don't know, that don't necessarily have a unique voice at all. But they're willing to pay the money, and then they get in. There is even a very renowned art fair in this country, and I'm not going to say which one it is, but I know somebody gets in there because her husband knows someone in the organization, and her work is not very good. And I'm not the one judging that. I've heard people say it who were there and who saw it and said, well, that was an odd one out. So, yeah. But I guess, wherever you go, it's human behavior. It would be a little bit naive to think it would be any different in the art world. I do think that the internet used to be a really good place to get started. And I'm saying that in past tense because it's changed. Unfortunately, it's changed. I'm not so sure if you can grow organically anymore and be part of an online community that will support you. It used to be like that for a couple of years, but it's changed. So this is PG50 Cobalt Teal, and this is one of the colors that is in my palette, and this is a very trendy color. Especially in the hobby, everyone, it's a trendy color, so you can see this one a lot in hand lettering, etc. The reason why I use it a lot is because it's granulating and it's slightly opaque, and it makes really quirky combinations when used, for instance, with the azo yellow. You get these rust-like colors, and you can have these shifts in color tones, just like you have in the in this mineral violet and in shadow violet. You can get these changes of gradations in one. So you basically have one mixture, and then you have a lot of colors within that. I like that. It's very lively. Grateful caught you live. Hi, Melody. Welcome here. Yeah. Oh, I'm doing a long live video. I've got 48 colors, and I am down to 24. So I'm a little bit chatty tonight. Jill Short from the US. We have everything very green place to desert. Houston, Texas. Grew up in Chicago. Greens are different here than in the north. Red is common in the south. Yeah, I like that. It looks like Mars sometimes. I watched a documentary about Mars today, and they were in, I think they were in Texas, or was in Arizona, where they actually recreated a Mars landscape, and they're going to experiment there with building houses for Mars immigrants. And to me, it looks like a very outer-worldly place. We don't have anything like that here in the Netherlands. The Netherlands are green, wet and green. Oops. This is 340. This is cobalt turquoise. And cobalt, when oh, hold on. I was forgetting the pigment number. PB36. When you have the cobalts, they granulate. Oh, another one that sticks big time. So I'm going to scrape it clean again and save some paint. But they granulate, so I will always have a couple of real cobalts in my collection. The ultramarines also granulate, but they have a totally different undertone. Uh-oh. This is a color that reminds me of a very antique Dutch color. Let's see how thick I can apply this. Okay, look at that. This is what's really nice about this brand is that it allows for really thick layers. That's good because I very often use very intense layers of color. Oh, I spoiled some in there. Yeah, Jill, what you're saying there about the Emperor's New Clothes, that is something I can definitely relate to. I think so too. It's I think that's you know, it's when I don't know if you I hope I'm not offending anyone, but you know, it was like the trend with the Uggs, the shoes. I mean, I'm not out to hurt anyone or anything, but I mean, look at those. They're like ugly. I mean, that's what I always thought the manufacturers meant to say is that they produced the most ugly shoes they could think of. But then they created this marketing around it that everyone wanted to have it. It was like the Emperor's New Clothes. It's like everyone suddenly needed to have those Uggs. And yeah, maybe it's like that in the art world as well. So this is PG 36. This is Thale Green Yellow shade. The eastern third of Texas is green, but by San Antonio it gets more desert-like. Yeah. You know, 300 miles away, our country is not even 300 miles wide or tall. I live in a very, very small country. So it's, you know, we don't have that much variety in landscapes. If I want to see desert-like environment, I would have to go to the north of Italy. The Dolomites. But no, we don't have that kind of landscapes here. Hi, Emma. Oh, well, actually, thus far, I am really, really loving this brand. I think that Roman Szmal did a very good job in developing this paint. It's gorgeous colors, and wow, any favorites? I think I like them all so far. I was fortunate enough to be able to pick my own collection of paint, so I only pick colors that I like. And they all behave very nicely. And they're beautiful, vibrant. They're much more vibrant here on my paper than they are on screen, as far as I can see. Yeah, if you can get your work on TV, that would be amazing. Sometimes that's what you need, right? My work got published in a book a couple of times, instructional books, and on a poetry website. And I'm not paying attention, am I? I'm not paying attention. This is 233, and that really attracted a lot of new people to my work. But the thing is that what's really difficult in the art world and music world and the whole creative world is it's easier, I think, to get some attention. It's much harder to hold on to it. I see so many artists falter. They get some success and then they're out of there. There are a few artists who really manage to stay up there. And for myself personally, I don't think I've developed into real artisthood. Maybe not yet, or maybe not ever. I'm not sure. But we'll see. Time will tell. This is sap green. And that's a color that will... Oh, that's rich. This reminds me of English carpets. It's gorgeous. This is not a single pigment. There are few single pigments in green. Well, Jill, you would be amazed. These paints are not expensive. They would be more expensive when you order from the US because you would have to pay shipping, of course. But these are, they're Polish. And if I did my calculation correct, they were about €3 each for a full pan. And they are artist pigments. I mean, obviously, just look at the paint. They behave super well. So no, these are cheap, but they are not cheap in quality. The quality is super amazing, especially for the price. But I have to see if I can find the, I just got a, the name of a Polish web shop that also has an English version. So I will post the link to this video. Oh my God, I'm already talking for 2 hours? Oh, I wasn't joking when I said I was going to be here at 4 at night. Sorry. I am wondering, have you guys been here from the start? Or have you just popped in and have I sort of changed my audience? Am I recycling audience or... Oops. I use a little bit much paint here. So this is a PY150, which is the Azo yellow, and the PB27. So this is a combination of the Prussian blue and the Asia yellow. So makes me wonder, should I have ordered this one separately then? But anyway, that's when you get to work with artist grade paints and you become really good at, you know, choosing the pigments. I didn't have much time because we were in the middle of a big house renovation when I ordered this. So I didn't check, but normally when you buy artist grade paints and when you see this color and you love it and you see that it is a combination of these two pigment numbers, what you do is you get these pigment numbers each. So you get the P1, PY150 and the PB27, because you will find these mixed in other colors as well, probably. Especially PY150 is one color that gets mixed into other colors quite frequently. I didn't approach it that way for this order. So, but you know, that's why some artists work with a palette that consists of no more than 12 colors. I do have to say I use a lot more convenience colors, because sometimes what I find quite hard sometimes is to achieve consistency when you mix larger amounts of paint. So here's this is Aquarius green. Well, what I do when I buy a new brand of paint and they carry a color that they give the name of their own brand, like the Aquarius green, or Old Holland does it with Scheveningen red, Scheveningen blue. Those are the ones I buy. I don't know why, but this looks like a Perylene green, but it's not, because this is Perylene green. That's also in the collection. There are €2.80. Really, Remco? You've been here for 2 hours. Cooking, eating, and drawing a little, listening to you. Oh my God. I'm actually still a little bit nervous to do live videos because I tend to say what's on my mind a lot, and I sometimes wonder if I don't say really stupid things that I might regret later. Oh, Emma. Yeah, well, that was the thing when Roman wanted to send me paints. He said, well, you can choose color. You can choose colors and I will send them to you. And I was like, yeah, how many do you want me to choose? Because, you know, I think they carry 140 colors and, you know, I'd like them all. Not that I want to ask for all, but it's like, if you ask me which ones do you want, well, I want to try them all. Because I find it really hard to choose. And with all colors having their own characteristics, you know, it's quite tough to choose. So ultimately, I still chose a big set. Very big, 3, 4, 6. But this is actually a set that I work with that I just showed you in the beginning. My standard set that has I thought 42 colors. It's actually 52 because there's quite a few convenience colors in there. The mixes that I use a lot, which is always an indigo or a Prussian blue, depending on the brand. Yeah, Remco, could you please send a link to the site that you found? And does the site that you found have an English version in the shop? Because that's something I've also been looking for. Because this looks like a brand I think I will use and order more from, because I'm actually really enthusiastic about this. Like chatting with a friend. Yeah, Emma, that's why I When I did it, it was like, okay, I am going to, you know, do this, make this chart of the colors I have and unwrap everything. So I might as well do it in a chat. And, you know, I work at home as an artist slash teacher, and I'm home alone a lot. So this feels quite nice to have people there. You can't post the link here. Oh, Remco, can you, do you know my email address? Or are you on Facebook with me? Because then I can copy and paste it. Because I'm not working on my phone, so I can't do it through Instagram. Then I could post it here. Because I was already looking for a good link. Now I'm starting to do the green gold. That is a color I use a lot. It's not a single pigment, but it makes a wonderful combination with the Prussian blue, because it's a very vibrant light green. I think my throat is beginning to fail me. I talked a lot, but also we just did a major house renovation, and we are very tired because it was a big renovation, and it's you know, doing big renovations is not nice while you're living in the same house. So we had a chaos for 5-6 weeks, and it just wears you out, you know, when everywhere in the house it's chaos and you're sort of camping in your own house. So the moment, you know, the last day of the renovation, of the biggest job in the renovation, I hurt my back in a really stupid old lady way. And now my throat is beginning to fail me. So I think this is my body saying that I should take a little time to rest. I'm gonna change the water again. I'll be back in a sec. Look for your email. By the way, it's English. Oh, that's good. My email is mandy@mandyvangoeie.com, Remco. So you can, if you email it there, I can copy it here. Renaissance. Yeah, I have been asked a lot about testing the Renaissance paints, but so far, or thus far, I haven't been able to find them here. And that's what I have found to be the case for, like, the creamer paints. They are German. They are created not very far from my home. And yet they are available, more easily available in the United States than here. That really surprised me when I found out. I was actually sent a set of paints, I think by Gina, that held a couple of those, and I was so impressed by them because they're really good. This is a really great color. I mean, just look at these two together. Happy colors. And there's another color, quinacridone gold, that's also going to be, oh, I can't wait to paint. We're down to 13. I'm actually talking people to sleep, I think. Oh, that was really weird. When I started my YouTube channel, you know, when I was originally a high school teacher of English, and there were these supervision sessions where we had to videotape ourselves. And videotaping yourself is horrible because when you hear yourself talk, it's like, it's embarrassing. And when you see yourself on video, it's even more embarrassing. I hated doing that. So nobody would have believed that I would have a YouTube channel where I can hear myself, where other people can hear me, and sometimes I even see myself on video. But I've grown quite comfortable with it, and that was partly due to you guys, an audience that somehow like what I do, even though what I do here on YouTube is absolutely against any rule. You know, I'm not working with scripts. I'm not doing 7 bullet point topics. I'm not doing exquisite editing or anything. In fact, I am speaking a lot. I'm sharing my own experience. And then I found out part of the reason, apparently, why is that I have a voice that some people like. And I'll never forget the first time I heard about that was a man who wrote to me. And at first I was a bit scared by him. He wrote to me that my voice was so pleasant to him that every night when he went to sleep, he listened to my voice because it soothed him and it made him feel comfortable and good. I was like, what? So first thing you think is, oh my God, that's scary. And then, you know, after a while, you just learn that some people really do, you know, when people live alone, they find people to listen to who they feel comfortable with. And in recent years, I've had more people say things like that about my voice. And it's really weird because when I hear my voice, I cringe. It's like, ugh. It's like when Bob Dylan said he hates his voice. He hated his voice. Isn't that ironic? We tend to not like things about us that other people do like. Does Polish folk need to get their good stuff out into the larger world? Yeah, Jill. Well, this brand, and that's I saw Jane Blundell do a post about this paint, and I was impressed by what she posted. So, and that's what I thought. You know, there's been the entire world is commercializing like crazy. And this is something I've seen happening in the art world too. Like my Schminky Hordam paints, the ones that I initially used as my main brand and that are still in my standard palette that's on my table every day. They are being pushed aside by the competition. And what I think is very sad about it is that they are not pushed aside because their quality doesn't, you know, is not good enough anymore compared to the others, but because other companies have very aggressive sales methods. So there are these chains of art stores that have contracts with certain manufacturers, and in these contracts they need to have a certain amount of their products, and then they get discounts on those products. But that means that these art shops need to make room for those brands by, you know, getting rid of other brands. So every time I see a small brand that's really good, I want to just share it with the world. It's like the Isaro paints that I showed a little while ago. You know, if anyone put me on an island, with these paints, I would be happy with them. That would be good. And same goes for Isaro. So that's something I just, you know, I want to give them a chance. I want to give them a break. A natural talker, inherently interesting. Oh my God, really. Thank you. That's a compliment. It's makes me shy. Well, I try to share some, real information. So if you have any questions, then you can always ask. There are two lines of watercolor paints by Renaissance. One is comparable to Cotman's, only available in pens. The good stuff's called Intense Water, is only available in tubes. Sounds interesting. Okay. Remco, you just... Yeah. Oh. I'll check. Hold on. Yeah. I got it. Now I got to go back. I just shared the link that Remco looked up for the Aquarius watercolors, and Kama has also just shared a general link. So would anyone, I know it's very hard to see on camera. Is any one of you considering purchasing these on the basis of what you've seen and heard from me? They do have a big collection of colors. So there's a lot to choose from. I actually have a feeling, I don't know if it's true, but I have a feeling that they created a collection on the basis of the Daniel Smith collection. I may be wrong, but that's what it reminds me of most. So here's a quinacridone. Oh, these quinacridones, they feel like a very warm summer's day, don't they? It's like you can almost see the sky move over a hot road. Part of a link. Okay, yeah. If you can get into an English translated site, yeah. Well, they are beautiful. I can't wait to start painting with them. I talk too much. I won't be having energy to do a painting today. Huh. It's kind of funny because during the whole renovation project, I had very little time to paint. Half an hour here, half an hour there. And then finally, when you do sit down, then the muscles in your hands, they actually need to start remembering again how you painted. Oh, if you hear crazy noises, it's my dog who gets his outburst of energy. He gets them every evening. He starts running and bumping into things and jumping over things, and he's big. He's a big dog. But, he behaves like a rat in a wheel. This is PO 48. I think this is sticky. Oh, yeah. Very sticky. Okay. Operation Paint Rescue. Yep. 349. That was not a very good thing to do. Got my hand dirty there. Let's see. There's a lot of unpackaging, so we'll look forward to you paying. Oh, yeah, there is. Thank you. Yeah, the Daniel Smith paints, they are expensive in Europe. Although in the Netherlands we have one store that decided to carry them, and I had a viewer from YouTube. She came over from America last summer, and she brought me some Daniel Smith paints. And around that time, or a little later, there was this art store in the Netherlands who signed a contract with Daniel Smith and are now selling that for well, the same price. And they sometimes have offers, and then it's much more affordable. But this is, of course, even much more affordable. That's a beautiful warm color, isn't it? I just threw away the paper, so I can't reproduce the name. I think I'm getting a little bit tired. British flagging upper right corner. British flagging upper right corner. There. Could probably cope with French. Yeah, I could cope with French as well. I was asked to do a French review sometime. That would be exciting. I don't know. Would there be a lot of French people watching YouTube? Would be a super big challenge for me to do a live video in French. I was surprised to see how many earth tones I actually use, because I use a lot of bright colors, but I tone down those bright colors with earth tones. And I use them in portraits a lot too. So this is PBR7. That's a very straightforward brown pigment. That wouldn't be sticky, no. Earth tones are generally not very sticky. Not on other browns either. That's a beautiful, beautiful brown. Sometimes they are very dull. This is also very warm. Okay. This is quinacridone maroon. So I'm expecting a vibrant, radiant, warm red. Yeah, the dot swatching, that was a big, that was a 4-hour video, you know, altogether. I think I might, you know, I'm already on 2.5 hours tonight, so yeah. I think I was one of the first to do these extensive color charts. Now I see so many people doing them. Kind of funny, isn't it? And people tell you that a YouTube video should be made in a certain way, and you make them in an entirely different way, and then other people start doing the same thing you do. You're signing off, Remco. Oh yeah, good. Good night. Sweet dreams. See you on Instagram. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this the unwrapping, and then I'm gonna go to bed as well. I hadn't expected to be here this long. Oh, I think yeah, I forgot the number. This is a beautiful blood red. Very vibrant. You can already see it when you wet the paint, you know. It's a beautiful color. Gorgeous. I don't have any other color. It looks like it. It's sort of pinkish, orangish, earth-ish. It's light, it's intense. Everything at the same time. I like it. I wonder how it dries up. All the colors on my own watercolor paper dry up a little bit more, a little bit brighter than on the paper that they came on. So now moving on to transparent brown. This is a color I use for my tree painting a lot. Oh, this is sticky as well. So another salvation operation. Okay. It's not so bad once you get the hang of it. It's not too much work at all. What paper are you using tonight? Academia by Fabriano, which is a drawing paper and a watercolor paper, fine grain. And I think it is, you know, it's good enough to do some color charts on. I'm a little bit particular about watercolor paper. I'm not using really expensive stuff for my color charts. I know that the paint will look differently on different paper, but I use different kinds of paper. I mean, I use a lot of my watercolors for my art journals, and for my art journals, I will use this kind of paper, or the Canson Monval is a type I use a lot, or Eteval, which are all relatively comparable to this quality of paper. And this one is, the Academia is pretty bright. Now we're coming to the Caput Mortuum, and that is, this is a gross story, actually. This pigment, mortuum means death, and the Caput Mortuum was originally a pigment that was generated from mummies. I'm not lying, it's true. And it's a very distinct earth tone that you recognize immediately in any set. Only in this brand, it's different from all the Caput Mortuums that I know. And this looked more like a shifting color. But I'm going to see how it works out. I don't think it's being made from mummies any longer, by the way. There's a little bit of paper left on there. But I saw this color in Jane Blundell's swatches, and I was very much surprised by it. It's dark. And I'm going to add water to let it do its job of shifting or granulating a bit, because I felt that that was what it was doing. I think it will dry up a little bit later, so I'll just have to see. Yeah, it's an interesting color. It's more beautiful. It's got a very purple undertone. Reminds me of the Shadow Violet, only then a very different tone, of course, but interesting. And this is a color I also use a lot. It's green umber. This is a Cyprus green umber. In all the other brands, I have German green umber. So I figured that this time I wanted to try the Cyprus green umber. 1, 2, 4. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you look, there is a wonderful book about pigments, about pigment history. Um, And in that book, the author writes a lot of beautiful stories about that one. And the Caput Mortem is one that grosses people out. But do you know the origin of true Indian yellow? Does anyone know? I bet there could be people among you who read the same book, who know the book that I'm talking about, that you know. And I have to say that, Indian yellow has always been my favorite yellow. These days I use a lot of azo yellow. But Indian yellow has always been my favorite. And I am set on owning a little bit of watercolor with the original pigment in it. So the original Indian yellow pigment. Who knows? Who of you knows? Yeah, exactly. No, Jill, it's not a rumor. It's true. Indian yellow pigment was originally made of cow urine that they dried so that it became really super intense. So you have to know that, in our age, we can create so many colors chemically. We can create every color with every sheen and every, effect and characteristic. And we can do that chemically. But, back in the old days, there were only a few colors possible for us to be able to be manufactured. And yellow was very hard to manufacture. The reds were all very earthy, because there are very few pigments that are light fast in red. And the yellows were really, really difficult to make. And the yellows were originally ochre. So, and then, the people who designed fabrics, the kings, they wanted brighter and brighter colors, because the colors you wore, they set you apart. Because the royal blue, that was the bright, deep blue that only kings could afford. The cochineal was a red color only kings could afford. And then there was the Indian yellow, which was at the time the brightest of yellows. Only it stank. It stank like hell. Can you believe that? People who had wallpaper printed with Indian yellow, and they wallpapered their house, and the house stank like urine. But that's what people were willing to do at the time. Or just imagine you would wear a skirt made of Indian yellow, or a dress, and then on a hot and humid day, you would get a little bit sweaty, and then you would start to stink because you were wearing Indian yellow. It's something we can't imagine anymore with all the luxury we have of, we have the brightest of everything. We even have neon colors that do not wash out immediately. I mean, like opera pink. If you like opera pink, you can buy opera pink clothes that even, They stay opera pink for quite some time. If you buy them in Lycra, Lycra holds on to color pretty well if you don't let it dry in the sun. But back in the days, pigments were so super special that people were willing to stink for it. So I promised myself that one day I would like to own a little bit of original stinky Indian yellow. I don't even know if it exists anymore anywhere in the world. But yeah, I would still like to have it. I do own a little piece of cochineal red, the real one. And that's a really sad story because the cochineal that was made from, crushed, a crushed kind of lice, a crushed kind of bug. So that's not really a vegan color. Absolutely, poo is, yeah. There are still certain leather treatment techniques for which they still use urine for a certain effect. Only then later they treat it with this medium that sucks out the stink, or they steam it. Do they steam the stink out? There is a procedure to take out the stink. Yeah, Emma, little did they know indeed. But then on the other hand, okay, let's get dirty here. I mean, we're talking about urine anyway. At the time, they also didn't have toilet paper. Need I say more? And if women had their periods, they would wear cloth. And they would not have the amount of hygienic bandages that we have these days. And people did not have shampoos for their hair. And they would wear wigs. Well, the upper class people or the middle class people would wear wigs. They wouldn't wash their scalps. I mean, the world must have stunk so hard, and we cannot even begin to imagine. Only, and I'm not implying that in other areas in the world people stink. Only I do remember that a friend of mine, she went to India, to Mumbai, on a well, I wouldn't say a holiday. She was sort of like studying culture. And she went off the beaten track, so not just to the Lonely Planet areas of Mumbai. And what she said impressed her like hell was not the things she saw or heard, but the smells. That everywhere, everything was overwhelming because of the smell. And not necessarily that everything stank, but that the smell of everything was so heavy and penetrating, and that we here in the Netherlands do not know what it's like to live in a world that's so rich of smell. Well, also stink, but also just smell in general. We here live in a rather sterile world in that respect, perhaps. So no, we no longer stink of cow urine when we wear a yellow frock. But I did have a silk sweater once, and that stank. Oh my God. That was horrible. And then I went back to the store and they said, "Oh, but you don't have to. If you want to, we can change it for you, and you can choose something else. But there is a perfect solution. You can wash it with vinegar, and it will no longer stink." I should never believe the girl, because I washed it with 2 or 3 bottles of vinegar, and it still stank, and I could not wear it. I was so embarrassed to wear it because it stank. I don't know of what, but it was not a good smell. By the way, this is a gorgeous color. Oh, I keep throwing this away. No. I got it. This is transparent oxide brown. That's one gorgeous color for my trees. And look at the caput mortuum. Can you see the shift? I gotta scan this tomorrow on my big scanner and place a photo on my blog somewhere. You saw cochineal bug, and I thought 500 years ago you'd be turned into paste. Yeah. Didn't you feel like trying that? I mean, I don't crush cochineals, but I do sometimes feel an urge to try. It's just that I hate killing, so I don't. But I feel the urge to try. Can never understand those romantic folks who want to go back and live in medieval castle. Oh, I can. Oh, I don't know how long I'd last. I mean, I'm cold very quickly, but you know, there is these medieval festivals here in Europe, in the Netherlands, and for some reason it attracts a lot of men with long hair who play knight, who do role playing. And it's, you know, if all the men in the medieval times have long hair, I'd like to go back. I'm entering my second youth. I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is midlife I'm approaching. Aha, sepia. Sepia is another color I use a lot. Well, you know, I would actually like to go back to medieval times. Well, not necessarily for every aspect of life, but I do think it's quite crowded these days. And I would like, I wouldn't mind being able to wander around in the woods and the forests without. Right now, you know, at the moment when you go walk in the forest, then, you know, you're walking in line. There's so many people walking there. So, yeah, I think I would like to experience what it's like to walk in the woods and not run into a single person. Or you would run into illegal outlaws who would kill you, of course. No, in reality, I don't think any time is better than another time. If you're not in a war, that is. Oops. I'm really getting a cold. It's pushing through. I'm allergic to live videotaping. That must be it. Okay, so beautiful sepia. It's a little more brownish than I'm used to. The sepias I have tend to be more towards the black or the dark gray. So now I'm going to the Van Dyke brown, and it looks very much like a super granulating brown, which I'm not used to from Van Dyke brown. My Van Dyke browns are all transparent and super dark. So I'm really curious about this one, which is why I chose it. I'm sorry if I keep sniffing, but it's just getting worse. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm talking your ears off your heads, and now I'm also beginning to make very indecent noises. The things you do to see a new brand of paint, right? You just sit here and listen to my babbling and making snot noises. 131. Okay, Van Dyke brown. This is a... Oh, this is always interesting. This pigment is an NBR8, so it's a pigment number. It's not frequently used. BR8. Okay, there we go. And it's granulating, and I think it's sticky. Yeah. Oh, well, that's not too bad. Not as bad as I'd expected it. Ooh, seems to have a greenish undertone. Where am I? Let's see. Okay. Does anyone have any other dirty pigment stories? Oh, this is party time. Dirty pigment story. Good girls go to heaven. Bad girls tell dirty pigment stories. The excitement, the excitement. People don't understand this. Oh. Uh, Never understand. They're really tiny, the cochineal. I actually wonder how they did manage to get some of them to dry and grounded, that they breed them in captivity. Or maybe they just planted trees or plants they knew the cochineal would land on. That's what I think I would do, and then shake them off a plant, catch them, and let them die somewhere. Ah, that's pretty rotten. That's a pretty rotten thing to do, right? Have you ever seen the stones with the holes they had for toilets? Yeah, your butt would freeze onto the stone. But mind you, I here in France there are still these toilets. There are just a hole in the ground that you will just have to squat over. I actually use those as a child. These days when I choose I bring my own toilet. So I don't use those anymore, but that was also a pretty medieval feeling. We're visualizing wrong version of the TV series Outlander. Yeah, as long as they've got low. Well, I don't like guys with big muscles, so I think the Outlander guys are like, sort of very muscular, big chests. I think I like. I don't. I think I like the guys a little bit less blown up, but long hair. Lots of long hair. Oh, it's bad. But I'm decently married, so I'm not supposed to even think about it. One can always dream, right? What I would have done in another life in the Middle Ages. That's safe. The Middle Ages are far, far away and very impossible to reach. So very easy to dream about. PBR7. PBR7 is such a widely used pigment. It's the things they can do with a pigment. This PBR7, that's PBR7, and this is PBR7. And they will all be different. I so much would like to know how they do it. I would like to visit a manufacturer one day and just see how they do it. How do they create these differences? Gorgeous dark brown. Oh, I so much feel like painting another treescape again. I love painting tree bark. For some reason, I like just, the textures. Doesn't have to be brown, of course, but okay. Oh, really? Yeah, of course, if you were a king, you could have a servant to warm up your toilet for you. Oh, then I think the king should better hope that his servant did not have some sort of a catchy disease, or else, yeah, if you were one of the servants, you would freeze to the toilet. Indian yellow is made from cow urine, buffalo. Yeah, fed mango leaves. Yeah, exactly, the mango leaves. That's what I forgot. They were made to urine into buckets. Production stopped in 1910 because it was cruel. Why was it cruel? Did they not digest the mango leaves well? Was that a problem? Or was the peeing in the buckets really cruel? I don't really see that it's cruel. Interesting. Yeah, that reminds me, speaking about, cruelty towards animals and what happens in the United States with the cows that get fed corn all the time. They are so sick. They have so much pain. Horrible. So I can imagine that perhaps the mango leaves are not very easily digestible for the cows. Maybe that's the problem. 401. Okay, so this is a Polish name. Here we go. Every Polish person will have a laugh at me now. This is called Brzybicz Gray. Brzybicz Gray. Brzybicz Gray. 401. That's better to remember. And 401 is a mixture of PB29, PR177, and PG26. It reminds me of the neutral tint by Jane Blundell or Blundell. I don't know. Maybe I'm just mispronouncing her name all the time. That was it Daniel Smith that took that color into their collection. I had just mixed it. I had just, performed the mix according to her recommendation, and then suddenly it was available in a tube. That was irony. This looks like a purple. This is purple. It's a purple gray. It's pretty. It's super pretty. And because it's a PB29 in there, which is this one, is granulating, then you can see that just like the shadow violet, it is working. You can see texture in this. So gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh. Da, 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 da. This is a good way to spend a Friday night. And I'm already speaking for 3 hours. Hence the throat. Okay, so use one of the halls in Florence. You did, Jill. I've never been to Florence, but it should be beautiful. I chose a lot of earth tones, and I was a little bit surprised about that in hindsight. But as you can see, like this, the quinacridone, this is quinacridone maroon and the quinacridone gold. They are so. I never use Venetian or English red. I don't know why, but I don't like them. But this is the quinacridone maroon. It's much more, it's about the same tone, only much more vibrant. It just, I don't know. It wants to come right at you in a good way. The Venetian and English red sometimes feel so like an old-fashioned crock pot. Like real earthen and chalky. It gives me goosebumps. Just like writing on a school board, like writing on a blackboard with a chalk. So this is Payne's Gray. That is a color I have in my collection. Always, every brand. And it's always interesting to see what mixes these brands will use to create it. And every brand goes about it differently. Oh, and that one is a sticky one. Oh, very, oops. Uh-oh. That's really, okay. So, scraper to the rescue. Yep. Got it. Oh, yeah. I need to grab another little piece of paper to protect my clothes. Okay, Payne's Gray. It's a gorgeous color for night skies. Oh, look, it's started up. That's amazing. Looks a little bit greenish. Wouldn't have expected that because there is a black pigment in there and a blue pigment. The 27, so that's a Prussian blue. and a red pigment. And still I have a feeling that I'm getting a slight greenish undertone. I like it. It's a beautiful gray. This actually, normally a paint gray is more blue, but this is actually really a gray. And that's very pretty. So on to Perylene Green. And I almost placed this with the green, so right there, but ultimately I chose not to do it. You've chosen beautiful colors. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I chose the colors that approach the Schminky Horror colors that I use a lot, so that I can compare. And that's what I like about this manufacturer, is that he didn't, he offered me these paints, period. No questions, no conditions. I get approached by paint manufacturers quite often, and I refuse to test most of the paints that I get offered. And sometimes it's quite a hard decision to make, because sometimes brands pass by that everybody is reviewing and people are enthusiastic about. But then I get these conditions that they want me to meet. And that's when I decide not to do it. And recently I turned down a really big one because they invited me to test their paint on the condition of my becoming a sales portal by making me an affiliate of their sales. And there's nothing wrong with making money. But the thing is, when I review paints, I don't want to be compromised by having my own agenda. I mean, I don't think it would be fair if I presented to you a paint that I would say, this is super good stuff, you need to buy this, only because that would make me a couple of bucks. That would not be an honest review. So I turned them down. And it's quite, it's a bit hard sometimes to, you see people, everybody does it, so why shouldn't I? Should I not be making a little bit of money on it? But then, I thought about it for a couple of weeks. I gave myself some time, and I thought, no, I want to do this my way. This is, I've always done it my way. I want to give people an honest opinion, and I don't feel I can give people an honest opinion if I become a sales portal. And also, it's not a very fair way of selling a product, I think. Because if you're really good, if you know your product is good, I mean, this man, Mr. Szmal, was confident about his product. He must have been. He sent this to me, no questions asked. I gave him the number. I gave him the names of the paint I was interested in, and I said, "You decide which ones you want to send." He sends them all, no questions asked. So then you know that there is somebody at the other end who knows the product, who really, is proud of his product, and rightfully so, because it's really, really good. And my doing this is not advertising. It's my honest experience with the paint. And I do not know if I like being used to be advertised. Of course, it's interesting for a brand of paint to send me something, but as you know by now, I'm not always positive about a brand of paint. If I don't like it, I say it. So I do get approached by people sometimes who say, will you review my paint if you like it? So what they basically say is, will you please make a positive video about my paint? And then I say, no, I don't. You can send me something. And what I did do, by the way, is for very small paint manufacturers that I tested paint for them. So I just tried it. I didn't write a review about it. I just tried it. And I gave them my comments in comparison to other brands that I have. So this is Mars Black, and that's a granulating black. And that is a color you see used a lot at the moment. Granulation has become hot. I think I've helped create the hype. Granulation is wonderful. Oh, hold on, I forget to look. Okay, not bad. Reads like so. It's. Are you Polish? Duo. So it is Brzybisz gray. Brzybisz gray. Can you spell that Polish out? Because it sounded like nothing Polish. Well, no, I'm not Polish. I'm very Dutch. You want me to spell this out? Okay, so here we go. PRZYBYSZ apostrophe S and then gray. Brzybisz gray. Brzybisz gray. It's cool. Yeah. Will they be going into a granulating palette you made a while ago? Well, no, because I'll show that to you. Hold on. First, I'll just apply the Mars Black, and then I'll show that palette to you. I have yet to make a video about that, don't I? I'm running behind so much. I thought at the time when we were doing the renovation that I would be able to work. I was being way too optimistic because I did paint a little bit, but not too much. I'll show you my palette. This is my palette with the granulating colors. And it's small pens. So the only paints I'm including here is small pens or tubes. So of this, I'm not including anything in this set. Having said that, though, I don't know. I think if I don't know if this brand is available in a tube, but then I might be interested in getting some of these colors in a tube as well. Because I own, I have quite a few self-composed sets of paint. This one is pretty amazing as well. I don't know if you can see it. This is the cobalt turquoise. It's gorgeous. It really works. There is something in there, not really super granulating, but it's pretty wonderful. That would be good to have in there too, because it's quite a unique color. Yeah. Okay, so now this is the Aquarius black. So, and this one I presume is going to be like Daniel Smith's, what's it called? The super granulating one by Daniel Smith. Can you remind me? RZ sounds like J in French. Jeune. Jeune. Bzz, bzz. Let me see. So then it's like pshibush. Bzibish gray. Bzibish gray. Bzibish gray. Okay. Bzibish. Okay. Thank you. I'm learning Polish here. That's fun. I like that. Yes, the lunar black, Gina. That's it. I think this is going to be like the lunar black. Let's see. This is one of the reasons I think that Mr. Szmal has been inspired by the Daniel Smith. Maybe it's not true, but it's something I think. I didn't talk to him yet because he's coming to Amsterdam, I saw in July, and it is for an event, a sketchbook event, a sketching event. And I want to look into that because it might be fun to meet him. Okay. So here we go. Ta-da! Shibish. The last one. Oh, and I've only been filming for 3 hours. You know, you guys rock. Especially the ones who are here all the time or who came back. You certainly have a lot of patience. Okay, so final one. It's kind of cool. It apparently YouTube has this algorithm that it rewards video publishers who manage to keep their audience with them for a long time. Don't you think I should win a prize for doing this? 3 hours and 11 minutes and you're still here? YouTube should put me at the top of the list. No. I am commercially not interesting enough, so I think something will be there in the algorithm to undo this effect. But to hell with that. I'm having a good time, and you too, I suppose, or else you wouldn't be here anymore, would you? This is Lunar Black. Look, it looks like it so much. Ah, I am done, and I am satisfied. I am happy. I have itching fingers because this is gorgeous. And also look at how most colors are very realistic on the paper, on the wrapper. Only this one is very, very different. Probably because they put on a little light. This one is a bit different. This one is a bit more greenish on the paper wrapper, and that one is darker. But the rest is, you know, very often when you buy a paint based on a paper wrapper for color, then you get something that's totally different. But here they are a really good representation of what you will find on the inside. And that is actually super exciting because it's really the real colors. My voice is about to break. I have to admit, Jill. I have this this pot of tea that I've been refilling my cup constantly. And I was a teacher in high school, and one of the things that I have learned was techniques to try and save your voice, because you would have to sometimes be in front of groups of children, sometimes 32 children, for well, anywhere from 4 to 8 or 9 hours a day. And they're not as quiet as you are. So you can imagine that every once in a while I would have to put up my really, really bad voice and tell everyone to shut up and listen in a friendly way, of course, but still I would have to be clear also with my voice. And then you learn to use you learn to sort of relax your vocal cords a bit while speaking. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's not really a gimmick about the painting of the wrappers. I think it's a very good way. You know, Daniel Smith has done a super smart thing by creating the dot charts. That was a marketing gold mine that got their product out into the world like massively. And that, you know, Schmieke Hordam followed very quickly, and I heard some other brands are trying. And us artists, I don't know about you guys, but I have been exchanging sometimes with some people it didn't always work. Sometimes gouaches, they break, so when they come at their destination, you know, the paint fell off the paper. But it's a really great way of sharing paints and of really trying them, because I think that as the popularity of watercolor is growing and the popularity of working with the pigments is growing, it's what people are getting more and more experience with working with pigments, it becomes more important too. And that's what this brand, I think, is doing very good in positioning itself in a market. They take the user seriously by saying, look, this is a color you're getting, and that really is actually the color you're getting. We're giving you all the pigment information on the wrapper, so you can decide, you know, at a glance. And yeah, I think that's really important. And it's a way of saying, of coming into this artistic world and saying, we're here and we mean business. You know, we're here to stay, and we're making a good product. I think they're doing a very good job. I'm impressed. The price is incredible for the quality you're getting. Um, it's I'm This is really great. This is a discovery I'm really glad to have made, and I can't wait to start painting. So yes, the wrappers are made with real paints, and I suspect that this is a thin kind of watercolor paper, or at least a kind of expensive paper that holds watercolor really well. This is, I think it's a big success. It's wonderful. Time for the review. I really like your painting the wraps with the real watercolors and the watercolor paints with gimmick against them. Yeah. Okay, so guys, I'm super tired now because it's pretty intense. This is easy, but you know, doing the double thing, focusing on this and talking to you is it's super nice. It's also quite intense. So well, I'll be maybe I'll go live in the next couple of days. I'm not going to make any promises because I don't know. We're still doing some chores on the house, and I'm not really sure what our weekend is going to look like. But I'm going to start the weekend. Oh, it's not weekend yet. It's only Thursday. Ah, bummer. Listen, I missed a day, and I only have tea. This is not even a stiff drink. Okay. Dobranok. Is it Dobranok or Dobranoc? Danke für meine Zeit. Ich hab's gern gemacht. Kama. Have you had a chance to try the other Polish brand? No, I have not tried the Renaissance yet. Dobranoc. Dobranoc. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm wishing you all good night or a good evening if you just come home from work, like Gina. And well, I'll see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. And now I have to find how I can end this. I don't know where the button is. Oh, God. Oh, I found it, so I'm gonna go. Bye.